Yeehaw, partners. Doesn't even fit around my head. What am I even doing at this point? The Wild West. It's not an unheard of genre when you're talking about video games, although I do feel like it's not used well enough. Most notably known is, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2. But when we look at other games or other franchises, all I can really talk about is Call of Juarez and a few indie games. So, as we know it, the Wild West, not really that famous in the art of a video game. However, I have quite the little gem for you guys here in this video. I am talking about Blood West. It's a simple name, but honestly not that simple of a game. Blood West is basically just what if you took the Wild West and just added a bunch of scary, nightmarish creatures. Story follows a very simple principle. You're a guy who's died, and a lot of people and whatnot get turned into a lot of creatures these days. So, to prevent you from turning into anything, a shaman tries to help your dead corpse from not resurrecting, but fails in doing so, and now you've resurrected, but you're just a normal guy. A chill guy. I do have to say that that is pretty much the most interesting part about the entire story, as you're kind of commanded by this sort of totem to tell you what to do, and the story isn't really its major point. I feel like that's probably the one thing I have to start off with by saying that's the one thing I find to be the least in this game. But other than that, this game is absolutely wonderful, especially when it comes to gameplay. See, I love being able to cater a game to my style. Some games are stealth games, some games are action games and whatnot, but being able to actually choose how you want to play a certain game or adapting to what you're getting faced in front of you, that is what makes games really interesting, especially as of late. And Blood West does that very, very well. You have, of course, your standard loadout of a weapon and a second weapon, which is in a smaller slot. But in this game, you actually run around with 3 different trinkets that you can run around with, and they add small little benefits like 10% extra headshot damage, or a trinket with a certain value that gains $5 extra for each enemy you kill. Things like that add a little bit of an extra to how you play the game and how you want to enjoy your playstyle. For me, that of course includes being very stealthy until that of course completely fails, all falls to the ground, and then I have to start shooting my way out of situations. But what if you can't? Well, that is the interesting aspect. As I said in the story, you're resurrected, which means that, well, you've come back from the dead, but that doesn't stop you from doing that again and again and again and again. You can actually die in this game and just come back to life. That is perfectly fine, except for the small little issue that comes with it, which is you start to get flaws to your character. Now don't worry, these flaws aren't permanent. There are ways of getting rid of them or just preventing you from getting them, but it's of course an incentive to not die. Oh, and if you think you can alt F4 right as you're about to get the killing blow, that doesn't work. I've actually tried that multiple times. Next to that, we have the soundtrack, and while there isn't like a giant amount of songs that you can hear throughout the game, I think the sound effects and how they're handled and how they're shown off to you with the enemies you face are done extremely well for a small indie game made by a very small company. Now, the game didn't release last week, so why now? Why am I making a video of it now? They released a new DLC, which also didn't come out last week, but actually a little while back. But that's all beside the point. They released a DLC, which got me back into the game and made me want to make a video about it. This is, of course, for fellow Western lovers and also for FPS/stealth lovers, because this game has it all. It has it all. I feel like the developers also kind of understood that in the base game, the story was probably the least impactful of the entire game, and so they did crack that up a little bit in the DLC, at least from the intro. You can see where you're actually playing some sort of witch doctor slash shaman that goes away from his daughter or his niece or something. I don't know the exact correlation. And then, you know, he says he's going to come back, but it's taking longer than expected. Despite that, he's coming back nonetheless. It's a simple story, and honestly, it doesn't need more than that to get you just hooked, and then you start playing the game, and then you officially just cannot stop playing. I found the base game to also be very, very rewarding, because exploration is rewarded, doing side quests is rewarded, and finding secrets is rewarded. So there's no reason to just rush into the game, but you can if you want to. I mean, the game isn't also, to be said, extremely difficult, but it's very far from easy, and I've had my fair share of deaths while playing this game. I think also throughout this video, as I've probably shown here in the background, a bunch of footage and whatnot, you can also tell that the art style is really cool. And that's probably what pulled me in the first place, as I probably bought this game like a year or two ago. And I found it to be probably the best selling point, that it looks so incredibly well, but also like an old school tint to it. It's very, very weird, but it works well, and every single character design and whatnot fits this world perfectly. I find the idea of a Wild West with a bunch of monsters in it to be very, very good. And it's not the only game that does this. We also have Weird West, but it does it a lot more horror-esque and stealth, and I like this a lot. Now, don't take my word alone for it, as it also has about 4,000 reviews, and 90% of those are positive, so it's very clear that a lot of people can enjoy this game and be satisfied with its gameplay loop. Next to that, it's also only 25 bucks, and I think I got out of the base game at least 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. This means, of course, also exploring pretty much almost the entire game, as I did do a lot of secrets and did try to just explore the entirety of the map, looking for special trinkets and whatnot. But it does offer you quite a good amount of time and fun gameplay for the price that it asks. And of course, I've also stated this a lot of different times in a lot of different videos, but when we look at gaming, AAA gaming goes down a lot and tends to be very scummy. So small indie studios making very cool games, unique games, and games that haven't been done are always a good thing to support. And so I can advocate that Blood West is a game that you should be buying. And I hope that if you do, you will enjoy it. That was pretty much it for my Blood West sales pitch, I guess I should call it, instead of a whole review. I don't want to leave in too much or just show you too much gameplay to kind of spoil you for if you're actually interested, which if you're this far in the video, you are. This is a really, really, really good game, and I wanted to share it with y'all because I know that this game isn't that famous. If it's only got like 4,000 reviews, it's not small, but it's not big either. But what is big is the giant flop that Activision has done on Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and their whole AI scandal. But one thing that is very funny about that is that actually I was right about that. And I, of course, talk about that in a certain video of mine, the video of last week. So why not click on that video? I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.